Hello everyone, welcome back to the React.js course. Effectively in this video we are not going to talk about React, but it is a very important concept that you need to know. I'm gonna introduce it very briefly, but I do really advise you to go on your own and search about this concept. What is a relational database? What is a non-relational database? What platform we use for each type, and of course at the end of the slide we are going to mention SQL, so I do really advise you to also go and learn the language on your own, because again it's not the aim of the course. Of course, if you do really like my explanation, I could do a playlist of SQL alone or about databases, but it is not the aim of the course. But I said to myself that I needed to introduce these topics so you can follow up with me in the next videos. Okay, so what is a database? A database is simply a place where we can store our data. So let's say, for example, you have a web app or a mobile app that that we have users that are signing in and signing up. So let's say, for example, I'm signing in into a web app. I put my email and then my password. And for me as a programmer to check if this user is using the correct password, I need to go back to my to my database, and search for the correct email and check for the password and see if it matches what the user has inputted into our input text, whatever, and then he or she can sign in or sign up, whatever. So if, of course, if someone is signing up, we add a new values to the database, so we can have to keep record of all our users. So it's a very simple concept. So it's a placeholder to store our information. Okay, so there are two types of databases. We have a relational database and a non-relational database. Starting for the relational database, it's a big database. It has a bunch of tables inside of it, and they kind of correlated with each other. So that is a very simple example. So if we have an application like Netflix, for example, we have a bunch of movies, and we have also users, and we have ratings that users put for movies. So that's how we correlate these kind of tables. So we have a bunch of tables, and each table has a specific number of columns, and we have, of course, rows that are the values. So let's say, for example, we have an ID, first name, last name, email. We can, if you want, fill up these values according to what we get from the users and what our database is storing. Okay, so that's why it's a relational database, because the tables are correlated with each other. So as you can see here, we have, for each user has an ID, and we have a table that has ratings inside of it, and for each rating it has a user ID and movie ID that we need to get that from the tables of users and movies. So it's something called the primary key and the foreign key. So I do really advise you to go and check what these are, because I'm not going to explain that right now, but of course if you want me to, I could either explain it on the comment section, or I can make separate videos related to that. Okay, so that was a simple example of a database. Okay, that has only 4 tables inside of it. We have table tag, users, movies, and ratings, and this is a single table. We have, of course, the name, first name, city, age, and salary, and we have our values here that we inserted into our table. So the data structure that we're using obviously is a table. Okay, so that is the main data structure that, and I guess the only data structure that we use when it comes to relational databases. Now, if we talk about non-relational databases, of course, as the name says, the tables or collections, we don't name them tables, we name them more collections, are not kind of correlated with each other. So you can have a collection that is similar as tables, but in non-relational databases. We are going to dig deeper into that topic of non-relational database when we come to the Firebase part. But now, in these couple of videos, we are going only to focus on the relational database while using MySQL and SQL, of course. But for non-relational databases, if you have a couple of documents and you have, let's say, for example, a customer ID that has a value, and ordered items, the collections or the couple of tables that you have or the bunch of, if you want, entities do not need to be correlated with each other. And if you have a bunch of documents inside one collection, they do not need to have the same number of keys and values. So that, if you want, is a very independent if you want, relationship between the documents. So and the data structure that we use mostly is the JSON object. If you want dictionary, collection, whatever you want to use, whatever term you use in your programming language that you know. Python is dictionary. JavaScript, we name it as a collection, and in Java, we also name it as an object if you want. Okay, so that is a simple example on that. So when we move to the Firebase part of our React course, we are going to dig deeper into what a collection is in a document. But if you're curious about them, I do really advise you again to go and search about them. And if you have any questions, you can ask in the comment section always. And for the last part of our video, we are going to introduce the SQL language that helps us manipulate relational databases. It's not related to non-relational, it's only related to the relational databases. And it's a very simple example on an SQL code. It is not a program. I do not like to name it as a programming language. It's more as a data manipulation language. Okay, so you can insert values into your tables, and you can also select or get values from your table. Let's say, for example, you are going, you have a Netflix, a web app similar to Netflix, and you want to get all your movies rendered on the screen. So how do you get the name of the movies, and for each movie, the ratings and its corresponding date or whatever? That all is stored, of course, in the database. So that's where you go and select a couple of rows from your tables. And of course, if you have another example that comes in handy, if you have, let's say, for example, someone is signing up into your web app and you're adding someone, if you want a user to your database, that is inserting someone into your database, of course, because you have a new user, so you can keep the record of that user. So later on, when he signs in again, you can go and check if the password matches the password that he inputted and whatever. Okay, so that was a very brief example on databases. I thought to myself that you needed to understand at least a small, if you want, explanation or a small basic understanding of these databases, so you can follow up with me in the next videos. Okay, so for the next videos, I really do advise you to install MySQL Workbench, so because we are going to be working on that. And for the couple of next videos, we are going to only focus on the relational databases. Okay, so these kind of tables and these kind of connections. And after we get a clear understanding about these databases and how they manipulate, how can we can manipulate them through the server, Node.js server, and the client, which is a React app, we are going to jump into our next topic, which is non-relational database using Firebase. So if you have any questions, don't forget to ask your questions on the comment section. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, like the videos, and of course, I'll see you in the next videos. Thank you.